everyone, to episode 138 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast, a podcast where three brothers talk about what's happening in American and English soccer. My name is Dave, here with my two brothers, Christian and Matt. Christian, hello.
Hello.
Okay. Matthew, hello.
Hello.
Okay. Am I breaking up for you guys at all?
No.
No.
Okay. You're only breaking up a little bit for me, so I'm just going to power through and hope everything is okay. Christian, have you found our trivia?
I got one.
Okay. All right. Christian's got the trivia question. They've all said hello. If you're joining us live on YouTube, hello. Interact with us. Leave a comments. If you're watching in the future, leave comments still. And then, we'll respond and all of that stuff. You like that, guys?
Leave a comments.
Leave a comment. That's my Italian coming out. All right. All right. Let's get into it.
Matt just screamed at us there.
That wasn't me. I heard that too.
Oh, I don't know what that was. I think it was Dave.
Maybe it was me. Okay.
Unacceptable.
All right. I left, so maybe. Okay. Whatever. All right. We're going to get into this. Welcome to episode 138 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast, a podcast where three brothers talk about what's happening in American and English soccer. My name is Dave Knittel, and I'm here with my brothers Christian and Matt. Christian, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm just doing great, Dave. How are you?
Are you excited I'm excited to be back. It's been 2 weeks since we did the podcast. I've definitely seen you guys since then with our quick kick picks, but how is everything? How's it been, Christian?
The union make me want to die. But other than that, Liverpool are making me want to live. So, it's just a balance. Life's about balance.
Yeah, that's very true. There's a yin and a yang. That's the story of life, everyone. Matthew, hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, David. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Oh my gosh, I am good. Sal, to answer your question, who's joining us live on YouTube, I actually have all of the lights off in my apartment, and then my webcam has little lights on the side of it, and it's lighting me up, and that is why I look so bright here. So
Dave's lit.
Yeah, every week I have different sort of lighting styles, and I just like to keep everyone on their toes. A little bit of extra content for those YouTube viewers. We are a part of the Big Heads Media Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for tons of podcasting content. Christian, do you have our trivia question?
I do. Can you guys tell us the date? Oh, trivia popped up. So can you tell us the date of the last time Liverpool won a group stage match on the road in the Champions League?
Okay, the exact date?
You could give the month and a year if you want.
Okay, awesome. So we'll think on that, listeners. You'll think as well. Then we'll
give
our
the exact date. I will give you something. All
okay,
right? I will buy you a gift.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
I like this. Is there a dollar amount?
No cheating.
I'm not going to cheat. Is there a dollar amount?
No.
Up to no dollar. Okay, that's a mistake on your part.
I
Okay,
said I'm buying you a gift. I didn't say you get to pick your gift.
Oh, you're just okay. That's all right. Okay,
we'll think about it. We'll come back to. If you get it right, we can figure it out.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. All right. So Matt, why don't you take us away with Matt's Megs?
Oh, wow. Thank you, Christian. Welcome, everybody, to Matt's Megs. This week, we'll start by talking about Liverpool, Christian and David's favorite club. So, in recent news, they are set to change their sponsor to Nike from, are they New Balance right now?
Yes.
So they're closing in, going to be rumored to be the biggest one for a soccer team, biggest one. Christian, I'll start with you. Do you care at all about which company is sponsoring your team's kits?
I think Nike has done a really, really good job in the past few years making incredible kits. Wow, incredible kits. Some of their third kits have been really, really cool that they've released this year. And I know a lot of people who I'm talking to, Dave, your third kit is not by Nike.
But it's still awesome.
It is very, very nice.
Still awesome.
I still don't know how I feel about Liverpool wearing blue in any of their kits, but it's fine.
Deal.
Okay, but still. I think that it's a bigger deal to have a bigger company. I mean, New Balance is a big company as well, but Nike is worldwide known as probably the biggest sports apparel company, and I think this is a good deal for them.
David, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't care. I think your original question was, do you care who their sponsors are? No, I don't really care. It's more about the designs and how unique they can be. I know sometimes with the big brands, you actually have the opposite effect where, they all kind of look the same. So that is one concern that I have with them going to Nike. But as long as they still are somewhat creative and they don't have the exact same kit as 4 other clubs, I'll be fine.
Yeah. Then one thing I would like to see is the sponsor. The sponsor makes a bigger difference than the actual kit maker. I don't know if you
the one across
understand.
the chat.
I would love to see Carlsberg back on the Liverpool kit. Personally.
Fair enough. Yeah. So for me, I know Nike recently, Nike and Adidas, like Chelsea and Bayern Munich or Adidas, they basically have had the same kits many years. And Nike, they were doing, I'm trying to think of which clubs it was, but there was 8 of the identical jerseys in different colors 2 years ago, which was absolutely ridiculous. And I think for a club like Liverpool, I just don't want to see I want more originality. So that's why I thought it was kind of cool. And they had Warrior, they had New Balance. I can't even think of any other clubs that have had Warrior or New Balance as their sponsors. So I kind of like that they had different companies. I mean, at the end of the day, if it's bringing in more money for the club, who cares? So I guess that's where I stand off. I know City right now is Puma. They just switched from Nike to Puma, and Puma's got the reputation for the extremely tight kits. So I haven't purchased one yet until I lose some LBs. But I still think it doesn't matter too much.
Matt, you look great.
Thanks.
Don't worry about it. You can purchase those Puma kits.
Oh. Thanks, Dave.
But yeah, shout out our friends Icarus. They kind of we interviewed Robbie, the founder of Icarus, a couple of months ago. So go check out that interview if you haven't. But their whole business model is based off of the fact that these big clubs, or big brands, don't do customized kits anymore. And so I would really love to see. I just want to make sure Liverpool doesn't fall into that where their kit looks like 8 other clubs, Matt, like you were saying. Fair
enough. Anything else you want to add, Christian?
Well, yeah, like Sal is saying in our comments right now, Adidas has the prior kits that we used to have back in I guess the early 2000s, and they can't really do a throwback kit if they're Adidas. So it would be an interesting point that I've never really thought about. You can't do a throwback if it's to a prior manufacturer.
I'm just trying to think now, do clubs ever really do the throwback ones? I'm trying to think.
We see it. Man City just did.
Yeah, they did. They did. But were they? But were they sponsored by Puma before? That doesn't. I don't know if that makes sense. Would it?
I don't know how that works.
It may have just been a one-off kit that they got. I don't know.
Maybe it was before people made kits. They're all homemade, so there's no rights to it.
It was some player's wife that they had to buy the kit from.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you guys want to add?
Nope.
All right. Moving on. This week, Manchester City forward/midfielder Bernardo Silva got into a bit of hot water for his tweet. He was kind of poking fun with Benjamin Mendy, and he responded to one of Mendy's tweets with a picture of it's a black cartoon character.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So he said this is what Mendy looks like, and it was a black cartoon character from a chocolate company in Europe. I don't know what country it's from, and everyone's kind of saying how it's offensive and racist and things like that. He immediately deleted the tweet, but it was kind of, I don't know, sir. I'll start with Christian. Do you think there is any excuse for kind of posting this for players at this level?
So I saw that the FA are investigating him now because of this tweet, and I think that this was just a joke between him and a teammate. I don't think that he meant any ill will towards Mendy or any racial implication at all in this, but I understand why people would be up in arms about that. What? Why are you looking at me like that?
No racial. So I have no idea. I didn't know anything about the story, but based off of what Matt just said was that he tweeted a character who was a black character from a chocolate ad. Is that what you said, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how race couldn't have played a role in it, but okay, continue. That's why I was making the face, Christian.
Okay. Well, I just think that it was banter between friends, and coworkers, colleagues that are playing on, and I don't think that he meant it in a racist, discriminatory type of way. I guess is more of what I was trying to say originally.
Yeah. And I get it. And locker rooms are a very different sort of work environment than anything else. And maybe this would have flown if it was in the locker room, but him posting it on social media where there is no context really around it and it's out in the public sphere, people are going to interpret it however they want to interpret it, whether he meant it that way or not. It came off that way to at least some people, and he should not have put that publicly. Send it as a text message, tell him in person or something like that. I don't think he should have done it. Again, I have no context for exactly what was said or anything like that, but it sounds like it shouldn't have been posted publicly. That's what I would have to say.
And I understand people are upset about it, and I agree with you that it probably shouldn't have been public. If it's a private joke between you, keep it that way. And I don't know what the FA are going to do, but do you have an idea of what the punishment could be? I don't know, either of you.
Maybe a fine and suspension. I don't know. Isn't that the only things they can really do?
Well, I didn't know what you think would be appropriate in this situation specifically.
Me, I don't. If you're asking from my point of view, which I'm sure if you listened to the podcast before, I don't really get too up in arms about much, like with our sports gambling, with the insider trading and things like that. So I like to let things slide as much as possible. I don't think this is anything serious.
Unless Matt starts drinking and then he gets very combative.
Yeah. But I don't think there's anything they need to look into. I don't think there's any fines or things like that. I mean, he probably shouldn't have said it, but I mean, social media is taking it to a whole nother level. And it's I think it's one news outlet that's actually trying to really push it, and the rest of them haven't really made a big deal about it. So for me, I think this kind of just settles and nothing comes of it. Anything else?
No, sounds good to me.
Oh, wow. Thanks, guys. You guys
just
sound good too.
Solving the world's problems here.
All right. Anything else you guys want to add on my section? It's a short section, this one.
Wow, look at this little section here.
Yeah.
A little section. Mini Megs. Matt's Mini Megs.
Matt's Mini Megs. Well, so since it's fairly short, we have a comment here from Mr. Brozilla. Hello, Mr. Brozilla. Any good picks for tomorrow's EFL Carabao Cup matches? I don't even know who's playing, but guys, any thoughts on the Carabao Cup matches for tomorrow for Mr. Brozilla?
I know MK Dons plays Liverpool, and Liverpool are going to rotate their line pretty heavily. So it will see if a lot of those younger guys who haven't gotten a chance yet can play against a lower league team. But I don't really love this competition because I don't think any one of the big teams really take it seriously. And I guess you get to see a lot of younger players. So it's interesting from that perspective.
Portsmouth Southampton is going to be really cool because they're huge rivals. They haven't met in a number of years, and it's at Portsmouth too. So that could be, a lot of animosity there. That would be a game to watch. Also, Watford Swansea should be a really interesting and entertaining game because Watford's kind of on the downturn. Swansea's doing pretty well in the championship. Arsenal, Nottingham Forest. I don't know how Forest is doing this year, but championship team, relatively mid-level. And I guess Arsenal did bounce back against Villa. They were trending in the wrong direction, but they seem to be okay now.
Are Watford not playing well or something?
Yeah, but those would be the games, I guess, that I'm looking out for tomorrow. Matt, any other thoughts here before we close out Matt's Mini Megs?
No, I don't really even know any of the games happening. But just my advice, if you want to be fun, bet the over on every game.
There you go.
Root for goals.
There you go, Brozilla.
I think that's going to wrap up my section. Thanks for joining me. Listen to a little bit of music. We'll be right back.
Good job. All right, cool. Stadium scene play.
Check out our friends over at Stadium Scene if you're going to any stadium in the US or Canada. They have information on where to park near the stadium, what events are happening in the area, what bars and restaurants to go to, and all sorts of stuff related to that stadium. Matt, what else do they provide on Stadium Scene?
Well, they also partner with content creators like ourselves and offer you cool things like podcasts, which is what we're doing right now. Blog posts, YouTube videos, just great quality content. And it's not just soccer, it's all sports North America. So check them out at stadiumscene.tv.
All right. Excellent stuff, guys. So my internet keeps going in and out. I think the recording is good and everything keeps going and I can hear you. It's just you guys sound very robotic. And this has happened a number of times. So if this recording is fucked up, I'm going to lose my shit. But, it is what it is. As long as you guys can hear each other fine, right?
I mean, I can hear everything fine. I haven't had any problems.
All right. That's fantastic. So I'll just power through and manage. Okay. Christian's Corner. Over to you.
All right. Let me just, take a second to pull up my shit.
He's talking yeah, your phone's near the mic, Christian.
Yeah, I know. I'm just pulling it up.
Okay, you can pull it up while keeping it away from the mic.
No, I can't. Okay, I'm ready. Welcome to Christian's Corner, where we're going to discuss a lot of soccer topics in a very short amount of time. So we're going to really do a little bit different than Matt did, where he just had mini-meg today. We're going to really elongate Christian's Corner today. So this is what is going to happen. We're going to start with Dave today, and I'm going to ask your opinion on the Player of the Year, which was awarded by FIFA today. Messi has won over Van Dijk and Ronaldo. Do you think this was the right decision?
Yeah. I do. I mean, I still think Messi is the best player in the world. I think that as good of a year as Van Dijk had, Messi offensively was still ridiculous. And I'm perfectly fine with it. I mean, at the end of the day, this is for the best player, right? It's not best statistics. And it's really tough to measure statistics when you're comparing defenders to attackers. And at the end of the day, goals are most important in soccer. So Messi was absurd, as he always is, with goals and assists. So I'm fine with him getting the award.
Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, so the voting is done in July, so I guess I'm fine with it. I think Verge probably should have won it. I think right now he might be the best player in the world. Right now it doesn't look like Messi is playing.
I thought it was well. KDB, Matt.
I know. I was waiting for my turn to talk here, but
I think De Bruyne or Van Dijk are the best two players in the world. Messi, since he's come back from injury, has looked a little slow. And he hasn't really looked the same. I know it's been 2 games, but I'm judging him extremely hard because I've never seen him play this bad ever.
He's come on in the second half of both games too.
Against Dortmund?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I only watched the second half and he was horrible. But I don't think I've seen Van Dijk or De Bruyne play poorly ever in the last year. So I would say those two might be the best too.
All right, that's fair enough. I think Messi is the best player on the earth right now, and that's just the way that it is. But Van Dijk deserved to be in the discussion this year. I think those two were clearly the best two, and I would probably have Kevin De Bruyne as the third. He did have a couple of injuries, though, last season, and it is based off of the full season. So I think that's the only reason why he's left out of the top 3, plus just Ronaldo's prestige of who he is. He's going to get in there if someone else isn't blowing people away. So I think they probably got this right.
Well, I mean, De Bruyne, I don't think he should be nominated. I mean, he barely played last year. I mean,
exactly.
he only registered like 2 goals and 3 assists in the Premier League last year because he barely played. So I don't think he should be nominated for the award, but I'm saying like now and like the way, and because it was done in July, they didn't really get to see how he did with the last couple of international breaks and kind of the start to the season.
Yeah, and I think he's been incredible to start the year. It is he is the best player in the Premier League right now and is definitely top 3 in the world, in my opinion. So, but based off of last season, yes, it's Messi, Van Dijk, and Ronaldo.
Since we're on the topic, what do you guys think of Neymar now? Have you watched him play or are you guys still not saying he's a top 10 player?
I didn't say top 10.
That isn't what we said, Matt.
Oh my lord!
We said that he should be taken down a couple of points. I think I said he still should be a 90 in FIFA.
Christian said he's not a top 10 player in the world anymore.
I don't think
Christian, you may have said that. I do remember you were firing off some pretty hot takes in that one. I said Neymar should have dropped down a little bit because we simply didn't know. Yes, Matt, he is having a good run of form right now, and he is very good.
He scored 2 goals in 2 games. Let's not overreact, everybody. Let's take it easy for a second. Yes, they're game winners, but PSG are not dominating the games. He scored 2 late game winners. That's what's happened. And yes, it's important to do that, but he's not lighting it up and scoring hat tricks every game.
Fair point.
And he's playing in a farmers league. Haha, boom, gotcha. All right, so anything else you want to add on the FIFA?
I bring this up every time these award ceremonies come up. If voting was in July, like how long does it take to count votes? Like why are we doing it now? Like why does it take 2 months to get this? Like why don't they just do it before the season? Right? If everything was pretty much based off of last season, like why don't they just do the award ceremony before the season?
Didn't they used to like vote in September and the award ceremony was in January?
But what
Isn't that how they used to do it?
What is this award now? There's like
so
an
this
award
is because
ceremony every other week.
Yeah,
the Ballon d'Or split.
Exactly, the Ballon d'Or split. So this is FIFA's awards, and the Ballon d'Or I think happens in Christian like
it's in January.
In January after they vote in like October or November. Again, I can't figure out why it takes them so long to just count up the votes.
Yeah. Also, who is voting on this? Because I was just looking at. I saw Twitter. Andres Townsend put in his votes. And I'm like, why the hell does he have a vote? Why does he have a vote?
Is he the captain of Crystal Palace? He's not, right?
No, it's Mihailovic.
Yeah, Mihailovic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is he voting?
I don't know. That's a really good point. I don't know.
Huh. Yeah, it's a good point.
Right,
there.
If anyone
I
happens
really
to
don't know.
At BT Soccer Pod, let us know.
Because I thought it was the captains and the coaches really doing the voting, but maybe that's for Ballon d'Or only.
And that's
a separate
that's
one.
National teams. It's national. Yeah.
Well, it's national and club teams, right?
No.
Or is it only national? Okay. Well, let's just move on here because we don't know. So the next topic I'm going to discuss is Megan Rapinoe won the Women's Player of the Year. Matt, do you think that is the correct decision?
I mean, I don't know what she's done for her club team, so I can't speak on that. But I thought in the World Cup, I don't even think she was our best player. I thought we had a lot of good players, and I just think the media hype around her, and especially in the women's game right now, she's just kind of won it that way. But I don't know her club numbers, but I know we had a lot of players I thought were playing at a higher level than her, on the United States team.
Okay. Dave, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I thought the exact same thing. The counterpoint that Drew Pels brought up when I think I was messaging with him on Twitter about it. Goals are most important. That was kind of what I brought up with Messi. And even though Rapinoe, I don't think had the greatest on-field performance throughout the World Cup, she got the most goals and therefore won that. So I can understand that argument, but and I'm not going to claim to know the women's game well enough across clubs and outside of the World Cup. I watched every game at the World Cup, but beyond that, I couldn't claim to know who should have deserved this. So maybe it was Rapinoe, but for the World Cup performance for the U.S., I thought Lavelle may have been more impressive than her and some other players, but I think definitely all the media stuff boosted Rapinoe in this one.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Rose Lavelle was an incredible player, and she's so young. She had incredible talent in the midfield and was just running that show a lot of the times. Rapinoe missed a game in the World Cup, and I know she scored a lot of the important goals, but she kind of got on the end of things, and I'm not going to really say it this way, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's kind of like Ronaldo when he gets on the end of team play. Like I used to say it all the time. He's obviously a world-class talent, just like Rapinoe is, but they get on the end and get a lot of credit for the goals that they're getting there. So I think that obviously they're brilliant players, and Rapinoe probably deserved to at least be in the top 3 just based off of the World Cup. I didn't see her play with the club team or seen her do anything else other than what she did at the World Cup and some friendlies this year. But yeah, I think she probably deserved it up there with maybe Lavelle as the winners this year. Any other comments you have on this?
No, I mean, there were a lot of fantastic players for
Matt, not
England.
From you.
Yeah.
Did you say Matt?
I said Matt, not from you. So you can keep going, Dave.
Okay. Well, there were just a lot of fantastic players that I was really impressed with throughout the World Cup. So, it'd be interesting to see this award moving forward.
All right.
So is that did they only take into account the World Cup? Because I saw some stats on Twitter. The girl on Lyon that sat out the World Cup, Denmark.
The woman. Yeah. Ada Hegerberg.
Yeah. But she's her stats are ridiculous. Her goals to game ratio and assists. It's I don't think anything I've ever seen before. So I don't know her stats last year, but if I was looking, if they just were looking at club or just the World Cup, it seems she probably should have won.
Well, they do this with the men too, right? Like Modric won
Yeah, that's what I was about to
last
say.
year because of his performance at the World Cup. So I think it was the most high-profile tournament of the year. So I can understand the weighting being more heavily favored towards it.
All right.
Fair enough.
Anything else you want to add on this topic?
Megan Rapinoe is not Ronaldo.
Okay, fair enough. Yep, Megan Rapinoe is Megan Rapinoe. Good point. So I think that the next topic we will discuss is Jurgen Klopp winning the Coach of the Year at the FIFA Awards. David, do you think that this was the right decision?
I can understand it. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. I can understand it. I mean, he had the third most points of any Premier League team ever, even though they finished second, and they won the Champions League, which, again, I think there is a weight given to that tournament that is somewhat disproportional. Having said all of that, Guardiola, won 3 trophies. And so it was pretty much between those two. And Guardiola, was it the record last year, Matt, or was it second?
Second. They broke the record the year before.
Okay. So maybe that was held against him. Like, I don't know. It's really a toss-up between the two managers. The fact that Guardiola won 3 titles and Klopp only won the 1, I think, you could be slightly aggrieved if you were a City fan, but ultimately it was neck and neck, and I would have been fine with either manager getting the award here.
Matt, what do you think about Klopp winning?
Yeah, I mean, Guardiola, he's the first manager to ever do domestic treble in England. And, I mean, we had the second most points ever. First team to retain a title since Sir Alex. So, it should have been Pep.
Okay, and I think that there's way too much weight on the Champions League at this point. It didn't end up working that way for the players, but usually the team that wins the Champions League also has the player of the year. This year, Messi won it, even though Liverpool won the Champions League. But Klopp, honestly, compared to Pep, is nowhere near that same class. And you see it week after week in the league. Sometimes his tactics just aren't right, and Pep rarely gets it wrong. I think Pep is the better manager and probably could have won this year. But I still think that the Champions League having that much weight right now is just going to give it to him.
Christian, are you okay? Are you in danger?
Is Pep Guardiola...
Is there someone there making you say this?
Is Sheikh Mansour there? The gun to your head.
Oh my gosh! Wow, this coming from a Liverpool fan. Wow,
it is coming from a Liverpool fan because I watched how bad they were in the second half against Chelsea this week. So I think I'm just still fucking pissed off about that.
I think the broadcasters brought up an interesting point on that one, where they said that the tactics were to come out sort of hair on fire for the first 10 to 15 minutes of the second half, try to get one, and then sort of sink back. And they didn't really do that, but they started that half really well, and then they sort of fell back into a shell. I think there is an argument to be made where his in-game sort of adjustments can either get predictable or aren't as impactful as some other ones, but it's interesting. That argument just sort of petered out in my head. I didn't know how to close that one out, so it's interesting.
Well, there you go. All right. So, anything else you want to add on this topic?
No, that's how like half of my thoughts come out, Dave. So, welcome to the club.
All right. So,
interesting.
Jamie Carragher said the 2013-14 season where Liverpool almost won the title was ruined by Luis Suarez because of the prior season's biting incident where he missed the first 5 games of the season. Matt, what do you think of these comments? Do you think if Suarez had been playing those first 5 games, Liverpool could have won the title?
I don't know. Sure. I don't know. How many points did they have through those games? And I don't know. It's like a ridiculous argument, like, oh, what would have happened if this happened, and then 33 other games, I guess, like, I don't know, there's 33 other matches to be played. Things happen throughout the season, like players get hurt, players get suspended. Why are you looking at, one incident? That's ridiculous.
All right, Dave, what do you think about these comments?
Players bite other players, it's just something that happens during the season. Yeah, I know. I think it is a bit much to say he cost them the title. I could kind of hear Matt saying that he's not sure exactly how they started the season. I don't know if you answered that, Christian. Did you say?
I didn't. Okay. I did not answer it, but I'm pretty sure they had at least 1 draw and 1 loss to start that year. I think they started with 3 wins, 1-0, and then they had 2 draws or something, or a draw and a loss in the next 2 games. So
I mean, it's it's an understandable argument because he was ridiculous that season. So it's possible that he would have had 2 or 3 goals in every single game that he missed because that was the form that he was under or in. But I think it's tough to put that on him. At the end of the day, they fell down and didn't literally, fell down. God damn it. They, I don't know another way to say it, so I'm just going to power through.
They slipped.
Yeah, I know. Slipped. They tripped up. All those. As a Liverpool fan, I don't know why I'm saying all this, but yeah, it's tough to put that one on Suarez. There was a lot of other factors that came into play on why they didn't win the title that year.
Well, I have no problem putting anything on Suarez for biting people because he deserves all the fucking blame in the world for that. But yeah, I don't blame Suarez for them losing the title that year. They had 3 straight wins to start that year. They won 1-0. I think Sturridge may have scored all 3 of those goals too, or maybe Agger scored 1. I can't remember. But they fell apart at the end of the year, and they should never have let that happen. They still should have won it. Maybe if he starts those first few games, yes, they could win it. But the team should have stepped up in his absence, and him coming back just made them a ridiculous goal-scoring machine. But the team just wasn't good enough without him, and at the end of that season, they just collapsed, and it was sad. I don't really blame him, but you know what? I'm going to blame him because he's a biter. All right.
Did you guys see the clip of it was Carragher and Roy Keane were on a show, and Carragher was going on about what a team needs to do to win a title, and Roy Keane just completely shuts him off. He's like, "You never won a title." and
no, I didn't.
Carragher has like no idea what to say. You see him just get so upset, and just like I forget, there you could see Mourinho. Everyone's just kind of like sitting there, like, "Oh, here goes Keane again."
I did not see that.
But that's hilarious.
That is a very funny one. So the last topic here I'm going to discuss is Christian Eriksen. Should he be benched by Tottenham? His form has not been good to start this year. He kind of looks like he was ready to leave the club this summer and didn't get the move that he wanted. Do you think it's time for him to be put on the bench? Matt, I'll start with you.
Yeah. I don't know. If he's not performing, I don't think anybody's necessarily you can't like automatically start at the highest level. I mean, Messi earns a spot every week. If you're not performing, you shouldn't start. And I know he had a lot of distractions with the Barcelona links and a couple other big clubs, and he kind of was pretty public and open to the fact that he kind of wanted to leave. So I think him being benched is the next step.
Okay. Dave, what do you think?
It's a pretty similar situation to what Coutinho did at Liverpool, where he was very public, or I don't even know how public he was, but it was very apparent that he wanted to leave. And then that whole first half of the season, he was still on the team. I don't think he was really performing, and ultimately Klopp wasn't playing him as much. Do I have this completely wrong? Am I misremembering it, Christian?
Yeah.
Really?
Coutinho was our top scorer that season when he left.
Really? I just thought that he wasn't playing as much. So I don't know. I was going to use that as an example, but clearly that's out the window. But I still think
he wasn't the top scorer, but he was one of them. I think he may have been the top in goals and assists because that was the year Suarez scored all those goals, or Salah scored all those goals.
Okay. But I from what I remembered, I thought that he had that back injury or whatever and wasn't playing. And
that was, that did happen to the very start of the year only.
Yeah, but I thought it came back in December/January, like right around the transfer window again. And the point is that if he's not performing and clearly his mind is affected by it, they can't keep trotting him out there if he's not playing. I'm talking about Eriksen now.
Yeah, so I think Eriksen's an absolutely brilliant player, and he should have gotten the move if he wasn't ready to play for Tottenham anymore. But he is a world-class talent when he's on his game, and he can make a difference to their team. If he doesn't want to be there, though, you cannot start him. And I think Pochettino knows that, and eventually we're going to see him drop out of the team. I don't know if he'll move in January or if he'll just get his form up and start playing well going into I don't know, for the rest of the season to hopefully get another move. But right now he's free to move in the next summer transfer window. So they got to figure something out. I think he should probably just be benched though until he finds that form again or finds that drive to succeed with Tottenham.
But who's going to pay money for him when he can sign a pre-contract in January and just sit out? So I don't know if he will move in in January.
People might offer it just so they don't have to compete with some of the, maybe like they don't want to compete with a Juventus who obviously are going to try and sign him because they only sign free people. So maybe you want to buy him for like 20 million instead of competing with that.
Except for they signed Ronaldo and De Ligt for like ridiculous sums of money, but we'll just leave that to one side.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Well, anything else you want to add?
I'm good. Matthew.
Matt?
No, I
right.
still think he might get transferred in January because like Juventus, Dybala kind of wants out there, and I think it would be a pretty good switch for both teams. Juventus or Tottenham need another forward and goal scorer, and I think Dybala could be that.
Does Dybala want out, or do they want him out? Because I thought that he was being dangled with other moves, and he didn't agree to go anywhere. Right? Wasn't there a potential deal with him going to Spurs? And he didn't want to move?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think he wants to leave either. That's what I heard. I mean, I talked to him last week. He said he didn't really want to move.
Fair enough.
So just to wrap up here and go back a little bit, Liverpool did start with 3 straight wins and then drew and then lost their next 2 before Suarez came back. So, I mean, he could have made a difference, but I don't think you can blame him for that season.
There's an argument to be made that it motivated him by sitting out and then he came out with his hair on fire. You know, so this is all just like moot point.
It's a moo point.
It's like a cow's opinion.
All right. So that'll wrap up Christian's Corner. I hope you enjoyed that little friends shout out there. And we will be back with Dave's domestic dive right after this.
Diving in. I kind of learned how to dive when I was in Fiji, guys. Kristen taught me. You know,
I don't know how to dive.
I don't know how to dive.
No.
What?
Yeah, I just belly flop. And I belly flopped a number of times while we were in Fiji. And then Kristen kind of explained, you got to get your heels over your head. That's what I've learned.
Yeah. I've done maybe like, I could probably count on 2 hands how many successful dives I've probably had in my life.
I mean, I probably could as well, but that's because they all came, a couple months ago. Okay. If you are watching the podcast, make sure to go to bigheadsmedia.com to check out all kinds of podcast listeners. So we cut this up and we release it as a podcast. They'll hear some sort of podcast ad in here, and I'm not sure which one. So I'll look that up after the fact, but just give a little plug for Big Heads Media right here. Guys, are you ready to get going with Dave's domestic dive?
I think you just said podcast 5 times in one sentence there.
Podcast. Okay. We probably should have opened the show with this, but saying that we're going to be focusing more on Premier League and MLS because we talked about doing that. Right? Okay.
That seems like a Dave section type topic. Right. We don't really discuss that.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to Dave's Domestic Dive. I hope you have enjoyed. Is that what I'm trying to say? The previous sections, and now we're going to talk some MLS. We should have led with this at the top of the show, but we're kind of changing things up a little bit more. We're going to focus mainly on kind of the Premier League and MLS. That's going to be kind of the focus of this podcast moving forward, and we might touch on some U.S. men's national team and some other topics here and there. But for the most part, we're going to try to focus on Premier League and MLS. Dave's Domestic Dive will obviously be the MLS section. So first up, this happened a couple of weeks ago at this point, but because we didn't podcast last week, the Chicago Fire got new owners. Andrew Hauptman, I think is how you pronounce his name. He is now out, and a new owner, I want to say Joey Mansuto. I could have the pronunciation wrong, but he is very wealthy. They are moving out of their home in Bridgeview and into Soldier Field in Chicago proper. Christian, what do you think about the Chicago Fire getting new owners, and what do you think about them moving to the city but to play in an NFL stadium?
I think that it's big for them to get new owners. I think it's going to be a huge step for them improving the team. They are one of the original teams in MLS, and they have had some success with their team in the city. But I think they need to move back into Center City. I think that's a huge step for them to getting fan attendance, to getting just that feel of being one of the competitive teams in that city. And being in an NFL stadium, I don't know how much I love that decision, because I just don't think that they're going to sell out an NFL stadium right now. And eventually, maybe with Atlanta, Seattle, they've done it before, but I just don't know if I see Chicago doing that right now. I hope that this is only temporary and they build a stadium in the city.
Matt, what do you think about this change for the Fire?
Yeah, I think it's good. Hopefully they get a new stadium, like Christian said. I don't know how much an owner can really do in MLS, whereas when an owner takes over a team in Europe, you can go like the financial takeover and really start investing in the club. I know you can build up maybe the academy and get cooler stadiums and things like that, try to just draw interest, but I don't know how much is going to change the actual like play of the club. I think it's more on the players, the people you hire, and things like that. So
I would say that to an extent, but Atlanta United, LAFC have kind of proven that if you're willing to spend money, yes, in MLS, you're somewhat hamstrung by some of the league's rules, but you can have a big stadium. You can pay transfer fees for designated players. You can build up your academy. You can have ridiculous sort of training grounds and training facilities. And those are all draws to attracting better players. And so I do think that it is a big deal and the owners can have a role in MLS. Yes, it's not exactly the same in the equivalent of just free spending Europe, but there is an impact that owners can have. And Chicago is a massive market that has been underperforming for MLS for a really long time, and they really should be doing better. Matthew, something else?
Hey, there's financial fair play. You can't just spend whatever you want.
Very true. Yeah, City knows that very, very well. Christian, anything else you would like to add?
No.
All right, switching gears to DC United, another Eastern Conference team. Wayne Rooney is on his goodbye tour and is just setting off fires left and right. His latest comments are about U.S. players needing to be paid more. I think he made some sort of comments about him feeling uncomfortable that he makes, $4 or $5, whatever he makes, $1 million. Meanwhile, he's playing with guys that make $65,000 and stuff like that. Christian, I think we did you first. So Matt, what do you think about MLS and balancing sort of designated players and investing in the top half of the roster versus bringing up the bottom? What's more important?
I think we're at a point where we've seen big names come in that we should start balancing the roster a little bit more. I think to get interest in MLS in general, we needed some of those big names over the years, whether it be Beckham, Henry, now Ibra, things like that. But I know Ibra's taking a pay cut, but I'm just saying like the big names. Oh, he's not anymore?
Ibra took a pay cut last year. He is now either top 3 in paid players. Yeah, he had a big bump in his pay this year.
Yeah, but you would expect that. And I'm saying now I think they should focus more on balancing it because I think the interest, I don't think people are coming here at the end of the career for the money. I think they're coming here just for the experience. If they wanted to go just for the money, they would go to China. Like it's like a good place to end their career. It seems like, or end the Saudi league. It's another one where they're just throwing crazy amounts of money. So I don't think necessarily the players are looking to make crazy amounts of money, and they would just want to play decent soccer, maybe try like the American lifestyle or something like that, and that's what they're saying.
All right, that's a fair point. Before I go to Christian, Matt, what would be a reasonable minimum salary for MLS players?
Minimum, I'd probably say like 100,000.
100,000?
Yeah.
Okay. Christian, what do you think about where does MLS need to invest at this point? Or what's more important, top of the roster or bottom of the roster?
Well, definitely the bottom. We've talked about this so many times. And I think that's where we have to build from the ground up. You have to improve the lower level just part of your team because it'll push up and make it more competitive. If you put more money into just building a foundation of competitive players who are pushing for the first team instead of people who just rotate in as your players are injured or need rest, it makes such a difference to the team. Having people who can start and are just not able to start because you're so deep and have those bench players who are ready to jump into a first team and could be playing somewhere else is such a big advantage to a lot of these teams. And that's what's happening at the majority of the teams that are competing in the East and the West at the top of the divisions. You need to put the money there. And right now we don't see it. I agree that there needs to be more money and that salary cap has to be much, much higher for the bottom of the roster. I think it has to be over 100 though. I think it's probably closer to 200 was where we're probably going to settle.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think 150 to 200 is where it needs to get to relatively soon. And yeah, that might mean that some players are overpaid, but at the end of the day, these are professional athletes, top division in the country. And when they have to worry about their rent or picking up second jobs. They're not worrying about taking care of their bodies and being, at the forefront, hiring nutritionists, hiring whether it's personal trainers or just other people to get their physical nature up to where it needs to be and at peak performance. And then also doing some of the other things, recovery is such a big, important part of a professional athlete. And when you're only making $65,000 or whatever the minimum is nowadays, you can't pay for things like that. And I really think if the league wants to improve, it really does need to bring up the bottom of the roster, which will push everybody up. And it's not just, overpaying for the same players. It's allowing those players to actually become better. And it's an investment. So that's how I think the league needs to think about it. Matthew, something else to say?
I was just thinking, like, if you're making $65,000 and have to play like for New York or LA or like San Jose, like I was just thinking, like, these guys are professional athletes. Like, where are they living?
Yeah, they're living with a bunch of other players.
Yeah.
I know some of the academy kids live with like host families and things like that. There's a lot of things that they have to do, and some of them need to pick up second jobs and stuff like that. So it's I think it really needs to change. Christian, anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Kind of on this same sort of wavelength, Don Garber was recently interviewed and asked about charter flights from MLS teams. And I think the question was specifically some MLS teams, I think the Union is one of them, are not using any of their charter flight allotments this year. For those who don't know, MLS teams get 4 charter flights per year. They can use them, however they want. It can be one way, it can be round trip, which would count as 2, but you can use them 4 times throughout the year. And then playoffs and Champions League, CONCACAF Champions League are outside of that window. Don Garber has said he'd be happy with 100% charter flights. Christian, how important do you think charter flights are for MLS? Let's compare it to salary cap increase versus charter flights. What's more important? What do you think about that?
Salary cap increase is definitely the more important thing there. I think we have to, like, as I said, need to make a more competitive group of people. And that is where it starts. You have to put the money in, and you touched on them just investing in themselves, being able to invest in your own body, in your own nutrition, in your own training is a huge step forward. And yes, 65,000 isn't chump change, but in a lot of these places where they're living, it is like, it isn't enough to just be able to pay to live the style that you need to be a professional athlete. So that is more important. Charter flights probably still should be 100% if you want to take them, but number one is building the salary cap.
Matt, same question for you.
Yeah, salary cap. I think it's more important. I don't really have too much more to add. I think it's just more important.
So even though we're talking about flying some of these Orlando to Vancouver, right? And some of these flights are cross country. The Union this week is a perfect example. They're flying to San Jose. They had a game Sunday. From New York, they flew to San Jose. They have a midweek game. Then they need to fly to Columbus. You don't think having charter flights that can be scheduled whenever they want, no layovers or anything like that, has a bigger benefit, Matt?
Than salary, no.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Christian?
Yeah.
Still no? Matt, sorry. Continue.
Like I was just going to say, I mean, yeah, it is something that eventually needs to be done. But when you say more important, I think salary.
All right. I think that's fair. Christian, anything else on this topic?
Nope.
All right. Last topic from me here, and then we'll get to Daniel's question. David Silva to Inter Miami. So this isn't official. This was reported by, I think, the Independent or the Guardian. I can't remember which newspaper in the UK.
I also saw it on ESPN. So...
Okay. Well, they can report it and then cite other sources. But this is picking up more traction than like the Messi to Inter Miami thing. This seems to be more legitimate. Matthew, what do you think about David Silva to Inter Miami? Do you think it's a good fit for him?
Yeah. I mean, he's a huge name. He's one of Man City's probably best players ever, among their 5 best players in their history. 1 World Cups, 2 Euros. He's won it all. I think he's gonna play well in the MLS, and he's still playing at the top of his game.
Yeah, this isn't like a retirement tour or anything, right?
Well, I think it is. That's what he's doing,
But he's not way past his prime, the way that
yeah.
some other players have been.
Yeah, okay, I see that, but I still think that he's not doing this to get American, fame and glory.
Okay. That kind of contradicts what you were saying earlier, but okay, that works. Where you were saying players
like
don't come here.
Soccer fame and glory. You know what I mean? Like he's not coming here to win the MLS Cup.
Okay. Christian, what do you think about Silva at Inter Miami?
Well, I want to touch on saying he hasn't won the Champions League yet, so he hasn't won everything, but he is an absolutely brilliant player. So fun to watch, and I can't wait to see him in MLS if he does come over here. He would be an awesome player for Miami to start with just because he is a big name, but he doesn't have a personality of being an arrogant son of a bitch like some other people can be. Not going to name anyone specific, but some people know who I'm talking about that have come to MLS before. So I think that this is a huge move for David Silva and, well, not huge move, but huge move for MLS and for Miami, and is a good place for him to still be competitive. Yes, it's not the same level of competition, but he'll still be able to play at a high level and hopefully lead a new team that is brand new on the scene, first time they've existed, into a good history. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, fair enough. Matt, anything else on this topic?
No.
Okay. Getting to Christian, anything else to add?
No.
Okay. Getting to listener questions, we have Daniel Martinez joining us live on YouTube. So he said, what do you guys think of MLS and Liga MX wanting to merge with the Leagues Cup? Do we care? So I know we've talked about this on previous podcasts about how we feel about the Leagues Cup. It looks like it's continuing to expand. Liga MX is talking about how every team in the future may be involved in the competition, Liga MX and MLS. They've also talked about having interleague play where matches between teams count for league standings. It's kind of getting crazy, but Christian, what do you think about the Leagues Cup and MLS and Liga MX having more partnerships?
So this is just pretty much becoming the League Cup, which we see in England. It's just two different countries competing for one competition. This competition makes no sense, though. Just keep the CONCACAF Champions League and grow it. Unless this is going to replace the CONCACAF Champions League at some point, there's no point in having this competition. It's just adding just travel and playing games onto your body, which a lot of these players are already playing an absurd amount of games and traveling a ridiculous amount of distance over the course of a season. I don't think that this competition needs to happen. And it's honestly a hindrance to a lot of teams late on in the playoff races.
Matt, thoughts on the Leagues Cup?
Yeah, I've said this before, but I think it's a good thing. I think for the American people, I think I think the soccer fan base likes the Mexico rivalry and the Mexican fans with America. So I think it's good for both countries. Christian's hiding over there, but yeah, I don't see any problem with it. I mean, I would care much more about this competition than Champions League.
Yeah. I mean, I get both sides of the argument. I would like just more put into the CONCACAF Champions League, but it looks like this is sort of an inevitability and it's going to happen. So I guess the sooner we embrace it, the better. And I mean, in all likelihood, there's more money to be made from clubs and from TV with partnering MLS and Liga MX more closely rather than involving some of these other Central American countries. So kind of understand it from a business standpoint. I would like the CONCACAF Champions League to have more of a hold, but simply not the case. And so I think it's our future. So I guess I got to get on board with it. Christian, anything else to add?
No.
Matt?
You guys should stop being big old jelly haters.
Okay. Next listener question that we have here is from I am Henry 666. So his question is the amount of money Liverpool spent versus Man City, and then he said Klopp greater than Pep. We already kind of talked about this earlier, but Christian, anything else you would like to add on that comment from Henry?
Pep is definitely the best manager in the world, but Klopp deserves all the credit for leading his team that with much less in investment ability, and he's done a great job as well.
Does that factor in? Does money spent factor into your decision for the managers in any way or no?
I mean, it does to an extent. I mean, Pep has obviously had more money invested into his team. He didn't spend all of it, though. A lot of people that were already on the team when he came in are world-class players. So, yes, it factors in that he has more to work with, but no, he's still a better manager overall.
Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I think Christian said it right. Not much more to add.
Nothing else to add from Matt. At S Driscoll 10, which I believe is Steve, chimed in with Poch. So Matt, any thoughts on where Poch fits in with Klopp versus Pep?
I think he got like a crazy amount of hype last year just because of that great run in the Champions League. He's pushed Tottenham pretty far, and with no transfers last year, it was very impressive. But the fact that I don't think he's won a trophy there, I just don't think he can really be in that conversation yet. I know he's a good manager, but until you win something, you can't even be with Klopp and Pep. Like what? Come on, Steve.
All right, Christian. Anything else to add?
They have not won a road game since January. No, we're not going to discuss him in this same conversation.
Oh, I thought you were giving the answer to Liverpool's question just completely unannounced. I was like, what are you talking about?
He's talking about Tottenham not winning. For those not following. I know Matt got it, but Tottenham has not won since beating Fulham in January on the road. So there's that. Christian, speaking of trivia questions and answers, can you recap our trivia question? We'll give our guests.
I would love to. So the trivia question this week is going to be, when is the last time Liverpool won a Champions League group stage match? If you can get the date exactly correct, you guys will get a prize. But if you get the month and the year right, I'll count it as a win. Matthew, I'm going to start with you today.
I don't know the weekdays of prior years, but I'll just throw out a date. I'll say October 9th, 2017.
Ooh, that's my birthday, it is. But it's not correct. I mean, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's not. So Dave, what do you think it is?
All right. So I'll say November 16th, 2016.
All right, Matt, you got the month and the year correct. So very good job there. It was actually October 17th, 2017, when they won 7-0 at Maribor. Was the last time they won. So that's the way that it was.
Okay, so we had a last second question here from Matt Leffler. So just circling back real quick, with the USL being set up for Pro Rel, I don't think that they've officially announced that they're going to do Pro Rel, but with it being set up more or less for Pro Rel, how much excitement would that add to USL if they implemented it, Christian, real quick?
Definitely adds more excitement because you get to see teams go up and down, but I mean, it's still USL. There's not a lot of attention on it, so it'll be a long time before it really builds to something that the general public is paying attention to.
Fair enough, Matt.
Well, I think it'll only benefit USL just with getting more attention. But I think like the Phoenix Rising, they just went on 21, 22 game win streak. It was the longest one in American soccer history. And I think they've been generating a lot of interest, probably more than some MLS. I haven't heard a news story out of 10 of the MLS teams in 2 years, I would say. So I still think there's some bright spots in USL.
Yeah, and honestly, the fact that no other professional leagues in the U.S. do it, there's a certain novelty element that will attract more fans. So I think that it would be smart of them to at least try it. And USL back in the day, before they had the split with NASL, and I think they were still USL back then, they used to have Pro Rel when they were second division back in, this was in the aughts. So this was quite some time ago. But they used to have some elements of Pro Rel, and then when the whole split and soccer wars of the 2000s happened, that's gone away. So I wouldn't be shocked if they implement it. So yeah. All right. North Texas has been killing it in League One. Yes, they have. Yeah. Okay. So that wraps up the podcast. No, they have been killing it. And honestly, they're an FC Dallas affiliate. And I wouldn't be shocked if all MLS affiliates are down in that League One next year. I know USL is trying to do that, but that is a topic probably for another podcast, which we will discuss. But thank you everybody who has been here watching. We've had quite a few YouTube viewers throughout this one, so that has been awesome. And listeners, we appreciate you listening. We're happy to be back, and we'll be back probably, I don't know, we got to figure out when we're going to be recording moving forward, but we're going to try to do it as much as possible. I'm excited to visit Matthew. I'll be visiting you in Houston. Matt, are you excited for me to come visit?
I'm super excited. Are we going to record together, I assume, on Sunday?
Well, it all depends on the other one of us. So, Christian, do you want to do this on air right now?
No.
Okay. All right. So hopefully we'll be recording live and in person next Sunday. But, who knows? If you liked what you heard here, please consider leaving us a review on whatever podcasting platform you listen to us on. iTunes reviews specifically help us out the most. We're up to like 41 reviews, 25 written ones. Once we get to 50 written reviews, that really like boosts us for like iTunes purposes. So if you haven't left a review, we would greatly appreciate it if you would do that. So please consider doing it. Matthew, can you tell people about our website?
Our website is www.brostalkingsoccer.com. There you can find past episodes. You can read about us, the fantastic Kniddle Trio brothers, and all the great accomplishments and accolades we have in our lifetimes. There's also a store link there where you can buy our sweet merchandise. Where I don't think any of us are. Oh, Dave, are you wearing your shirt right now? Dave is wearing his shirt. I don't have the red one, so I didn't know. You can get that cool shirt. There's also an Amazon store link where you go through that link, no additional cost to you. Just hit that link, like one extra step, and we just get a mini Matt's Meg percentage of that, and really help support the show. And also, you can buy us a shot where it's $3. And if you think it's $5, it's $3. No, Dave, 3 fingers up, $3. And if you're just feeling generous and you love what we do and you really want to help Dave out, please do it.
It goes to all of us. It's not just me. Christian, can you tell people about our Slack channel?
Yeah, we got a big chat room where you can join both Dave and I. Matt, not really, but the rest of our listening community is in there, and there's all these different channels where you could talk about any of the top 5 European leagues, MLS, Liga MX, international soccer, transfer rumors, and more. There's also a general category where you could talk about anything that's going on in your life or anyone else's life. I don't care. Talk about what you want, because anybody talks about whatever you want to talk about. So get involved if you want to get involved. You email us at bros.talking.soccer or at gmail.com. Sorry. Whoops. Forgot that part. And you can tweet at us at BT Soccer Pod. So definitely join us over there.
Yeah. And then lastly, I have brought back my Soccer Tavern videos. Some of the older podcast listeners might know about that. And it's a different YouTube channel, different project, but I'm really excited about bringing all of them back. We got new branding. So I got coasters here. I got a pint glass, and I'm excited to do that. So go check out the Soccer Tavern, a different YouTube channel. Thank you, everybody, for being here and watching. And we will talk to you, and listening, specifically listeners, and we will talk to you next week. See you. Mr. Brozilla, our next quick kick picks is going to be tomorrow, right, Christian? Because there's midweek games. Christian, hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I will do the video tomorrow, Mr. Brozilla. We'll see if Christian will be involved.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, he sounds super excited about it. And then, so then we'll be back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Damn, there's 6 midweek games. All right, so I got some work to do tonight and tomorrow. And then we will be back with more quick kick picks later this week. And then I'm going to visit Matthew in Houston. So I'm excited for that. I'm having a bunch of barbecue, and I'm freaking pumped. You can't complain right now, Christian.
What?
Are you complaining that you're not coming to Houston?
No, I said, oh my God, me too, because I'm going soon.
Okay. All right, Mr. Brozilla, thank you for being here. Drew, thank you for being here. Sal, Matt, everybody, thank you guys for being here and interacting with us. It's always better when we get some interaction, and it's always a lot of fun for us. Matthew, Christian, any final words? Would you like to say goodbye?
Let's go get some matches played.
All right. See you, everybody. Bye.
Pow, pow,